You can see?
जी जी आई थिंक मधु जी का
सहना भवतु
सहना भवतु
सहनौ भुनक्तु
सहनौ भुनक्तु
सह वीर्यं करवावहै
वीर्यं करवावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
मा विद्विषावहै
मा विद्विषावहै
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
माइक इज ऑन
या मधु जी का ऑन है
वासुदेवेन्द्र योगीन्द्रम्
वासुदेवेन्द्र योगेन्द्रम्
नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुम्
नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुम्
मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय
मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय
तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते
तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते
वसुदेवेन्द्र योगीन्द्रम् नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुम्
वासुदेवेन्द्र योगेन्द्रम् नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुम्
मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते
मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते
Madhuji, can you hear us? No?
Yes, I can.
Your mic
Yes,
is
I
also
can.
on.
I put it on. I put it on mute.
Okay, no problem. Nityam shuddham nirabhasam
नित्यं शुद्धं निराभासं
निराकारं निरञ्जनम्
निराकारं निरञ्जनम्
नित्यबोधं चिदानन्दम्
नित्यबोधं चिदानन्दम्
गुरुं ब्रह्म नमाम्यहम्
गुरुं ब्रह्मा नमाम्यहम्
नित्यं शुद्धं निराभासं निराकारं निरञ्जनम्
नित्यं शुद्धं निराभासं निराकारं निरञ्जनम्
नित्यबोधं चिदानन्दं गुरुं ब्रह्म नमाम्यहम्
नित्यबोधं चिदानन्दं गुरुं ब्रह्मा नमाम्यहम्
साधनचतुष्टय सम्पन्ना
साधनचतुष्टयमसम्पन्ना
साधनचतुष्टय सम्पन्ना
साधनचतुष्टयसम्पन्ना
अधिकारिणा
अधिकारिणा
मोक्षसाधनभूतम्
मोक्षसाधनभूतम्
तत्त्वविवेकप्रकारम्
तत्त्वविवेकप्रकारम्
वक्ष्यामः
वक्ष्यामः
साधनचतुष्टयम् किम्
साधनचतुष्टयम् किम्
नित्यवस्तुविवेकः
नित्यनित्यवस्तुविवेकः
इहामुत्रार्थफलभोगविरागः
इह मुत्रार्थफलभोगविरागः
समाधिषट्कसम्पत्तिः
समाधिषट्कसम्पत्तिः
मुमुक्षुत्वं चेति
मुमुक्षुत्वं चेति
नित्यनित्यवस्तुविवेकः कः
नित्यनित्यवस्तुविवेकः कः
नित्यवस्त्वेकं ब्रह्म
नित्यवस्तुविवेकं ब्रह्म
तद्व्यतिरिक्तं सर्वमनित्यम्
तद्व्यतिरिक्तं सर्वनित्यम्
अयमेव नित्यानित्यवस्तुविवेकः
अयमेव नित्यनित्यवस्तुविवेकः
नित्यानित्यवस्तुविवेकः
नित्यनित्यवस्तुविवेकः
विरागः कः
विरागः कः
इह स्वर्गभोगेषु इच्छाराहित्यम्
इह स्वर्गभोगेषु इच्छाराहित्यम्
विरागः कः
विरागः कः
इह स्वर्गभोगेषु
इह स्वर्गभोगेषु
इच्छाराहित्यम्
इच्छाराहित्यम्
Very good. Now that we have completed the very first qualification, which is Vivekaha, Viveka Buddhi, Viveka being the capacity to discern correctly, accurately, precisely between two or more mixed up things which look like one and separating them out as is, utilizing that capacity to think and discern what is as is. This was the very first qualification for a full form of a development, I would say, of a human capacity. If you just take these words in a general sense first, we have already seen them in the sense of what it really means, which is that they are nothing but qualifiers for the one who is a seeker of moksha. He needs the capacity to think correctly. The person needs that capacity. But if you see it in a general way, generally speaking, a pinnacle of human development lies in the fact that a human being can think correctly. Not all thinking is right. While everybody thinks, everybody can think, everybody is invariably thinking. Choicelessly, हर कोई कुछ ना कुछ सोच ही रहा है. जैसे ही हम उठते हैं, हम सोच ही रहे होते हैं. बिना सोच के तो कुछ होता ही नहीं है. I mean, whether we are conscious in that process or not conscious in that process, whether we are deliberate in the process or not deliberately thinking, but we use the thoughts all the time, and without thought, in fact, In fact, without thoughts, you cannot act. There is no action possible unless until there is a backing of a thought behind it. So the capacity to think is already there. But that capacity to be molded into bringing the correct form of thinking. All kinds of thinking is not right. I'll give a small example. When a child is hungry, a child is allowed to cry for food. A child is allowed because that's the only expression of survival there for the child. A child is allowed to cry for food and grab it also if necessary. Nobody will complain if a child snatches. We've seen this enough. If two children are there, one child snatches it from the other child so that, it feeds itself. You don't mind it at that little stage. Yes, you know that you will want to get the child to grow, to be able to control a little bit of his hunger as he keeps growing. As he keeps growing is the word. At that age, nobody is minding that. But when he's growing up, you're expecting that the child will have some control over his own sensory demands, over his own wants, desire fulfillment. He will have some sort of a legitimacy around it. That capacity to be able to think what is right and what is wrong. That capacity to think what is to be gained and what is not to be gained. That capacity to think what is hitkari is the word that we very often use in Shastra Drishti. Hitkari kya hai? What looks to be hitkari may not be hitkari. What looks to be, if I just grab something now, I think I have gained it. And that instant gain that I'm looking at this point looks to be very, very attractive and I feel I have gained. But in the long run, will it be hitkari? Hitkari means that jo tumhare hit mein rahega for a period of time, for a length of time. That capacity to think is viveka. We have finished that first qualification in fair amount of detail. Today we are starting with the second qualification. The second qualification that is determining human development, I am taking them at two levels. One is at the level of just mere human development and its yardsticks. Shastra gives us these qualities as even normal development of a person. And then these qualities help a person. Why is it called full development? Because they bring out the spiritual potential of a person. They enhance the spiritual potential in a human life. Without these qualifications, without these qualities, the spiritual aspect of a person, spiritual is a vague word, I know, but in this context, we are not going to elaborate. We are generalizing it. Spiritual here only implies that your own fullness, your capacity to live your fullness. That capacity is a spiritual capacity. Whatever allows you for it. The fact is, without these qualities, you will not live those higher qualities of your own being. Your own higher qualities to express itself, these are the yardsticks. First one, Vivek. Second one, Viragaha. Viragaha kaha. If you saw that, the second qualification we saw, we said fourfold qualifications. Some of you have minorly erred here. One of you has given the whole definition. If the question is what are the sadhana chatushtayam, then the answer is Viveka, Vairagaha or Vairagyam, Shataka Sampattihi, Mumukshutvam. Teti is cha iti, means enumeration. It doesn't become a part of the qualification. Only those that are written in red are the ones that are the qualifications. So, Viveka, Vairagya, Shataka Sampatti, Mumukshutvam. These are the four enhancers of a human development. Vivek, Vairagya. And what was the definition? Is all this in black letters. Definition of Vivek we have seen, Nitya, Anitya, Vastu, Vivek. Vivek किसे कहते हैं? Capacity to separate Nitya and Anitya. Virag किसे कहते हैं? Today we are doing that. What will be called Vairagya? And we will, as we are proceeding in the classes, fairly taking them in depth, adequate enough to give you clarity, sustained clarity. Vairagya is a complete topic in itself also. First definition of it that this book gives, Tattva Bodha gives us, Iha Amutra Artha Phala Bhogaha. Just the words. Iha Amutrartha Phala Bhogaha is actually Iha Amutra Artha Phala Bhoga. Isse Virag is called Vairagya. What is Vairagya? Iha Amutra Artha Phala Bhoga Viragaha. And what is that further? The student had asked, like he asked in the Vivekaha, what is Viveka? He's asking now, what is Viragaha? If these four are the qualities, what is called Viragaha? And the text continues to explain that quality. To explain it, it gives the understanding here, Iha Swarga Bhogeshu Ichha Rahityam. Rahityam means free of. I'll take this in detail, just a general one now. Rahityam मतलब मुक्त होना, free होना, बिना उसके. रहित, हिंदी में word है ना, रहित, उसके रहित, रहित. That state of it being free of what? Ichha. Ichha se rahit. The state of being free of ichha. Ichha for what? Ichha for food? Ichha for shelter? No. Not those that you need for your survival or your basics. Not that. Those ichhas are not the difficult ones. Ichha which compounds itself into what? Iha Swarga Bhogeshu. To enjoy. Ichha that makes you want to enjoy. What? Iha. Iha means Iha Loka. Here in this world, not only enjoy the world, Swarga Bhogaha also. Ichha to enjoy a heavenly life. What is Viragaha? First definition. Freedom from and desire for enjoyments here in this world and future enjoyments in the form of a heavenly life. Before we go further, I'm opening up the topic now. What is Vairagya? Let's understand the word itself first. Vairagyam is an abstract noun. What do we mean by an abstract noun for those of us who need a little revision? A noun which is donating an idea, quality, or state, and I have highlighted the word state, rather than a concrete object. An abstract noun is denoting, in this context, a state. A state means a state of existence. Vairagyam is an abstract noun of what? Virag. The question is Viragaha kaha. What is Virag? So actually Virag is the word. Its abstract form is Vairagyam, which is very popular. Abstract form means a state of abiding in Virag. Another word which is very common is Virakt. Virakt and Virag is what is called as the second quality. What is virag made up of? Virag is two words. V, Sanskrit, Hindi, V. V is an upasarga. Upasarga means prefix. A prefix, the word is rag. Actual word is rag. उसका prefix एक है V. V plus rag becomes virag. V, the prefix used here with rag, any prefix we all know, changes the meaning, enhances or changes the meaning of the real word. To make us change the meaning of a word, prefixes are added, and by themselves prefixes don't really hold as a word. They need to be added to another word to give enhanced meaning to the word. V is an enhanced meaning giving word. To what? Raga. Prefix V, when it is used, it conveys a few meanings, to enhance a few meanings. What is it? This should be bhinnata. It is here written as bhitrata. I didn't get the time to change it. It should be bhinnata. Double na. Bhinnata. Bhinnata means alag-alag, separating. Heenata. Heenata means something which is lower, destroying. Viparitata, opposite. Vilakshanata means distinctness. Asamanata means not equal, showing that they are not equal. And sometimes Visheshata. Visheshata means showing the specification, making it specific. So we generally, this is a general meaning of we. We can be used when it wants to convey one of these meanings. Over here, to rag, V is added. What is it showing? Viparitata, asamanata, vilakshanata, bhinnata. V is used in this sense with rag. To see the examples of how V gets conveys a meaning, ना हम हिंदी में कहते हैं वाद करते हैं. वाद means conversation. Two people are having a conversation. उसको कहते हैं वाद करना. If you say विवाद, two people are having विवाद, what does it become? Conversation has now become argumentative. विवाद हो रहा है. जब तक वो वाद हो रहा है, it is an intelligent communication. It is a conversation. But वाद एकदम विवाद बन जाता है. It becomes argument. Smaran. What is smaran? Memory. याद करना. Remembering. This smaran means what? The minute to smaran you have added V, now what does it become? Forgetfulness. Vismriti. Vismriti is भूल जाना. Smriti is याद रहना. Vismriti, भूल गए. Similarly, yog. What is yog? जुड़ना. Add V before it. What does it become? Viyog. And what does viyog mean? अलग हो जाना. Separate out. Similarly, vibhag, vimukh, etc. Virag is a similar word. Rag means what? And usse bilkul opposite conveying is virag. Now what is rag? Virag, I'm just redoing it. What is virag? Virag is something which is opposite of rag. Question here, one of the texts, Kim nama vairagyam? What is called vairagya? Vairagya is characteristic. See how the three definitions are moving into alignment. Characteristic of vairagyam is, कब पता चलेगा कि वैराग्य है? अदृढ़ राग, spelling mistake, अदृढ़ राग द्वेषवत्वम. अदृढ़ राग द्वेष, the state where राग द्वेष दृढ़ नहीं है. दृढ़ कब होते हैं? When you say संकल्प लेना होता है तो कैसा संकल्प लेना है? दृढ़ संकल्प. We understand the meaning sankalp. Sankalp means determination. Sankalp means conclusion, decisiveness. I firmly want to take a decision on something. Sankalp lena hai. I take a vow. That kind. कैसा होना चाहिए वो? दृढ़ होना चाहिए, firm होना चाहिए, non-wavering होना चाहिए. You should not be wavering on what you are determined on, what you decide upon. It should be firm. Adrida means it should not be firm. It should not be strong. It should be fragile. It should be weak. It should be something which is, in Sanskrit the word is shithil. Shithil hona matlab kamzor padna. Kamzor, weak is the right word. Adrid means weak hona chahiye. What should be weak? Raga, dvesha, the state where your raga and dvesha are weak. When your raga and dvesha are weak, then automatically you are implying that Vairagyam is a possibility. What is Rag? Many people, most people, when you really start studying Vedanta, Rag has always been translated, even now, is translated as just likes. Its English translation is likes. But it's a kind of misleading word. Rag is more than likes. In intensity, in depth. In one's mind, I say I like chocolates. One thing is to say I like chocolate. Another thing is to say I'm obsessed about chocolate. Do you see the two differences, states of your mind? राग रहता कहाँ है? आपके मन में. रहता है means it's a state of your mind. If you just say it is likes, then many likes are all right to have. शास्त्र दृष्टि में हर लाइक को आप छोड़ सकते हो ऐसा नहीं कहा है. As long as your likes are under your control, they don't overpower you. They don't make you weak. As long as likes make you a slave, that's the right word. When your likes enslave you as a person, that is called rag. राग का मतलब बहुत गहरा है. Rag is not just mere likes. I like this, I don't like this, it's okay, that rag at the level of likes are not obstacles. They will define you as a person and it's okay. They are allowed to be fulfilled. They are fine. Those ichhas that are just mere likes are not considered to be obstacles. But the इच्छा, क्योंकि इच्छा वर्ड एक है, इच्छा ही आपकी डिजायर है, इच्छा ही आपकी लाइक्स है. जब वो इच्छा आपको जकड़ती है, बांधती है, गहरी आदत बन जाती है कि उसके बिना सोचते हो कि मैं जी नहीं सकता, मैं रह नहीं सकती, मेरा पता नहीं क्या होगा, मेरा जब वो विचार आने लगते हैं किसी चीज को लेके या किसी वस्तु या इंसान को लेके, एनीथिंग, now you have become enslaved. What is a rag is actual import is obsessive like, an obsessiveness in like chahiye 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 chahiye. When children go to toy shop, I give you this example so often, it is so striking over there. When children go to toy shops, and some children are very ziddi, and when they are ziddi and they want something, so they throw up tantrums and everything under there because they just want it. Why do they want it so much? Do you see the pain behind the child's mind at that point? आप थोड़ा अपने आप को भी देखें कभी कभी कि कभी हमको कुछ बहुत ज्यादा जोरों से कुछ चाहिए, चाहिए का एक थॉट है, मगर उसके पीछे एक भय है कि अगर नहीं मिला तो there is some sort of a fear behind, there is some sort of a resistiveness inside, एक डर है, एक भय is the right word, and वो सोच भी तुम्हें बहुत डराती है और वो दुख लगता है. दुख आपको उस वक्त होता है क्योंकि उसको दुख हो रहा है ये सोच के कि अगर मुझे नहीं मिला तो I will be deprived. These words though may sound just sentences, but they have meanings along with it. A child's mind starts, if it is not, supposing a child wants a toy and the parent says nahi beta abhi nahi, कुछ बच्चे मान जाते हैं, depends on the art of your parenting at that stage. कुछ बच्चों को माँ बाप को मनाना आता है, वो सीख चुके हैं, ऐसा बोलते हैं कि बच्चे को हर्ट हो जाता है, and then the बच्चा starts to feel कि उसको नहीं मिलेगा, और नहीं मिलेगा से जो एक दर्द उसे फील होता है, वो रोता क्यों है बच्चा, ये थॉट पे कि उसको आज नहीं मिल रहा वो टॉय. How when we were all kids, remember our parents have bribed us all the time. If in those days it was a big thing to get gifts even once a year, so if you get good marks, annual report card mein we'll get you this, we'll get you that, that temptation to get you to work hard, because without it what do you feel? You feel a sense of deprivation. Come, psychologically look at this. A mere like is controlling you. A mere like can be controlled by you. अगर आपने कह दिया नहीं बेटा अभी नहीं, बच्चा मान गया, रोया नहीं, it did not feel a sense of pain, it did not feel dukh. Mere like can be handled without it giving you dukh. This is my primary point here at this juncture. Mere like से वैराग्य associated नहीं है. Mere like is not a source of sorrow. But all of us, Vedanta says Ajnana Avastha, later on you may see it fully. All of us have some such area जो हमें इतनी valuable लगती है. We think it is so valuable to us that if we don't get it, we will be miserable. That obsessive liking, longing, the correct word is incessant craving for it. There is a craving, non-stop craving. When Many times we are asked, or everywhere it is there, and not just everyone says that. When you are growing into your youth and you are idealizing a partner, and then you get married, and most of the times you realize this is not the ideal partner. You may realize, some may realize. Those who realize that, they invariably feel at the background of their minds when they look at it, there's a constant craving for an ideal partner. There's a constant background mein. There is a disturbance inside. Why is there the disturbance? Because the mind is hooked on a concept of, an idea of what it felt was going to be a complete partner to oneself. What I think is my ideal partner. And when I think of that, before marriage, yes, I'm pursuing it with an idea. Suddenly after marriage, you realize that, oh, this is not that idealism. This is maybe a first few months or years, or whenever it strikes a person, the person is not able to get that idea out of the mind. From a toy world to a grown-up world, and even older, you realize throughout life there is something or the other which a human being holds on to almost like a craving, incessant craving. It is money when you don't have money. It is status if you want status. If it is job when you want, etc., 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 etc. A characteristic, I'm only making points simplified here. The characteristic of rag is what you have to identify and differentiate it from like. Pasand, normal ichha. Ichha word can go from normal ichha, means sanctioned ichha, legitimate ichha, dharmic ichha, to absolute other end, adharmic ichha, non-legitimate ichha, etc. So just as in Vivek we said, vichar and Vivek mein ek line hai. Vichar is just any thought. Vivek is specified thought. Separating capacity. Sukshma ho jati hai ye. Becomes subtle in a human being. In the same way, there is a distinction when rag is taken only as a like, and when actually what it really means is that incessant craving, a longing. A longing. What is a longing for? Again, I'm taking the examples, say, as a child, when you were growing up, you had a best friend, and the best friend had to shift down, and then you longed, in those days there were only letters, so you longed for the letter. Identify. I'm only explaining many words so that you can identify what it means. Don't leave it at the words now. What is longing? That longing is called rag. So whether you identify with the word obsession, or with the word incessant craving, or with the word excessive longing, all this means rag. And its characteristic being the person, this is quote unquote, kind of makes it clear that यही है राग, जब हमें लगने लगता है, without which life seems incomplete or impossible to live. राग की स्थिति में कब आ गया है? Everything in the Gita, there is a very beautiful verses in chapter 2 which tell us about the ladder of fall. It's a common phrase. Actually, it's not said ladder of fall. It is how one thought, perception, thought of an object, when you go on, you just see something. To everything that you perceive in the world, remember the two impulses, sukha prapti, dukha nivritti. There are these two impulses flowing. With everything that you see in the world, Your instant judgment is forming. मुझे अच्छा लग रहा है, मुझे नहीं अच्छा लग रहा. I like it, I don't like it. मुझे पसंद है, मुझे पसंद नहीं है. Right from a very young age, we feed this in children also. क्या पसंद है, क्या अच्छा लगता है, you know, as if it is an indicator of a person's growth. Help them define themselves. The Gita says that perception, when you start first saying, I like this or I don't like it. If you drop it over there, भूल जाओ, छोड़ दो, मन से निकल गया वो. You are free. That like did not disturb you. You've forgotten. You're free. You remain free of it. But supposing our examples always had been, if a woman goes to or man goes to a shopping mall and कुछ देखा, अच्छा लगा, वापस आ गया, नहीं लिया, and then घर आके सोचने लगता है, अरे I wish I'd got it, अरे I wish I'd got it, I wish I'd got it. Who are all compulsive buyers in life? All compulsive buyers have this weakness. Why are they compulsive? What is the bottom line behind it? Because actually what you start feeling when you don't need it. But the idea that if you don't have it, you will feel less. So what happens is your mind starts ruminating over it. You linger. What was one thought before starts to multiply in your attention. You give more attention to it. ध्यान देते रहते हो उसके ऊपर, आपका ध्यान उस पर जाता रहता है. जितना ध्यान उस पर ज्यादा जाता है, how much attention you start giving to it, that much strength of thought you are building. How much attention you are giving is that much strength of thought you are building. That strength of thought, up to a point you will reason. One time, two times, acha, I don't need it, I don't want it, why am I wasting? After all, it's my money, why I'm wasting it. But if you cannot clip away that force of thought there, you are the one who's strengthening it. Go on giving attention to it. The thought flow goes on garnering strength, becomes a thick flow of thought, and when it becomes a thick flow of thought, you start feeling the sense of vacuum without it. अभी आपके पास वो चीज है नहीं, अभी आपने खरीदी, आप देखी है सिर्फ, और आप उसको मन में लेके आ गए हो, लेकिन मन में लाने के बाद अभी आप उसको छोड़ नहीं पाए, मन में वो चल गई. And the more it's dwelling in the mind, the stronger is the force with which you want it in time, if you still hold it. And a time comes that initially your reasoning is able to quieten it. It's okay, I don't want it. It's okay, I'll wait for it. It's okay. But if you can't separate it out completely, you will be compelled to go and get it at some point. Because without it, you feel lack, you feel limited, you feel small, you feel कुछ रह गया, कल काम आ जाएगा, बाद में देख, एक्सेट्रा 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 एक्सेट्रा, कुछ दिमाग में चलता रहता है. That राग means जिसके बिना लगने लगता है कि अब इसके बिना मैं जी नहीं सकते, या मेरी जिंदगी कम हो जाएगी, या it won't have the same quality, or it won't have etc etc. That is rag, much more than likes. Because once you have that flow of thought, thereafterwards, it pushes you to get it. If you don't get it, what will happen? A child wants it. If a child didn't get it, what happened? It was hurt. It was in pain. It had dukh. And invariably, this turns out to be anger. नहीं मिलता है तो गुस्सा निकलता है, मिलता है तो it doesn't stop, it wants more, greed बन जाता है. and how one thought multiplies and the mind gets firmly attached to it. I'm avoiding the word attachment because attachment words have many meanings. They are fine to have. It is good for a parent to be attached to the child, a child to be attached to the... So all attachments are not wrong. But that where the mind starts feeling कि इसके बिना अब मेरा कुछ नहीं हो सकता, that is rag. This rag, Shastra says, is your direct impediment. You must be stronger as a person in your mind, and you always have the capacity that they do not shape over into becoming obsessions. They never gain so much strength that they become stronger than you, the person. That your likes should not grow in such proportions that you have no control over them. How our examples in the past and in the present context, it is really applicable to be seen. How a smoker starts smoking once, or an addict takes to drugs once, and what happens very soon? That is the fall that Shastra wants. Human mind has the capacity as in has the weakness to fall into. अगर इंसान alert नहीं है, not every human being has a spiritual goal in life. It's not necessary. If you have a spiritual goal in life, then you'll have to be very watchful that your likes never gain the strength enough for them to become compulsions. That they are not compulsive. That compulsiveness that comes to fulfill a desire is what is called rag. And rag, there's a very beautiful poem, just 4 lines. What is longing? For me, it is always very essential to get the words, their meanings as they are, very correct for Shastra to convey something accurately. If you want to understand what is a longing, craving, this Matthew Arnold's poem, this is not a whole poem, this is just the beginning, and in the end he says it. Come to me in my dreams, and then by day I shall be well again. For so the night will more than pay the hopeless longing of the day. I'll repeat this again. You will realize what is called longing. You will realize what is called rag. Come to me in my dreams, and then by day I shall be well again. Why? Because I dreamt. In my dream it got fulfilled. So it's telling its object of longing. It could be any object, it can be any person, it doesn't matter. It can be anything. It's telling its object of longing, come to me in my dream at night. Because by then my day will be fine. I'll be well because I just had you yesterday night. I saw you in my dream. For so the night means when you come to me in my dreams, it is more than paying the hopeless longing of the day. Hopelessness of my longing. These two words are so beautiful. That's why the poet manages to convey this so clearly. The hopeless longing of the day means I am spending my time in a hopeless longing. This is rag. And what really is the opposite of rag? People think opposite of rag is dvesh. Actually speaking, rag and dvesh are not opposites. What's the opposite of longing? dislike, indifference, loathing, hatred, hate, satisfaction here, despising, hating, abhorrence, disgust. People think opposite of longing is all this. But from Shastra Drishti, that is why it's important to understand. If you have to grow out of rag, natural inclination will be to think what is its opposite. And you will say, oh, the opposite of rag is, now I'm indifferent. If rag meant longing, then opposite of rag would be not longing. And not longing means it's disliking. If there's excessive liking, opposite is disliking. If there is excessive attachment, opposite is indifference. So opposite of rag, people think that growth can be into its opposite realm. But Shastra says, where there is rag, there is bound to be dvesh. What is these words? Dislike, indifference, loathing, hatred. This is all another word for dvesh. So rag and dvesh are not two things. Rag and dvesh are two expressions of a same thing, of one desire. A desire for which when there is hope that it will be met, there is rag. And when you see that it is not getting met or there is obstruction or there's something, it becomes dvesh. Rag and dvesh are two sides of a coin. One of my toughest reflections early in life was to see them as two sides of a coin. It was very tough when I was told and taught wherever there is rag, there will be dvesh. Because we all feel as human beings that we don't entertain dvesh. हम इतने बुरे इंसान हैं ही नहीं कि हम किसी को बहुत dislike करें या we don't entertain such hatred for people or objects. And especially when you have a spiritual goal in life, you take a lot of care not to develop all these emotions in you. Now, it is so tough to see that actually these two are hand in glove. Whether it is rag or it is dvesh, actually it doesn't make much difference because the seed of both of them is the same. And what is that seed? Seed is not expressing over here I am in this context, but because a quality has gone before, which is Viveka, with the help of Viveka, you start identifying what is it that the seed is, which is prompting me to develop such strength of wants, dreams, hopes, things, etc. etc. इतना जोर क्यों पकड़ती है मेरे अंदर ये वृत्ति इस थॉट, इतना जोर क्यों पकड़ती है? Because heart to heart, deep in me, my idea is I'm incomplete. I want something. I am incomplete भी बहुत देर बाद समझ में आता है. A lot of Vedanta Shravanam has to go for us to understand this. But in the beginning, we understand I want something. I am constantly a wanting person. I'm constantly a longing person. I long for something. I long for companionship. I long for money. I long for status. I long. Life goes, one of these Bhartrahari verses. Bhartrahari is a person who's written 100 verses on Vairagya. It's called Vairagya Shatakam. Over there he writes, life goes by, but our hopes don't get fulfilled. Our desires don't get fulfilled. Zindagi mein long, death comes, but we remain longing person. These are not opposites. What are not opposites? Likes and dislikes are not opposites. because this point is to be understood for Vairagya to be understood. Because what would Vairagya mean? It won't mean growing out of rag. Vairagya, if rag and dvesh are joined, Vairagya would be neither rag nor dvesh. I'm touching upon this, but we'll take this up tomorrow. Rag means, I'll explain this point tomorrow. Rag has another meaning coming from the root ranj. Ranj means colored. Color. Rag. Rang aata hai, color. Rag means colored. What is colored? When your mind is colored, there is rag. And slash dvesh. Dvesh that we just finished now. If you see them alone, where there is rag, there is dvesh. This coloring of the mind is what we will talk about a little more tomorrow. That capacity to remain uncolored in mind. And then the types of Vairagya, etc. More upon it. Just end the class here. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramaya. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kaschit dukha bhag